This is not a very reassuring sound, and I think the snow might have played a role into all this. My dear 35mm f2.8 lens didn't seem to enjoy the sudden cold and snowfall that day. Now, every time I turn on my camera with this lens attached, the focus motor struggles to align, making this strange grinding sound. My temporary solution has been shaking the camera to help the motor align. It looks a bit silly, but it worked well enough to get me through the day and capture some interesting shots in these weather conditions full of surprises. So let's rewind a bit. I'll take you along as I explain my thought process behind some of the photos and what caught my eye, while making you feel the atmosphere of Dazaifu, a very popular shrine just a short train ride from Fukuoka. After grabbing a little hand warmer at the combini, I started shooting and was drawn to this bold red storefront, perfect for a graphic two-dimensional composition. I waited for someone to walk through to add some life to the frame. The bright store shutter helps with subject separation, which I liked. That said, the photo could have been more interesting with a stronger subject, but I wasn't fully convinced by the result anyway, so I decided it was not worth waiting around much longer. In this next photo, I liked how the morning light filters through the torii gate. It is bright and strong, yet soft at the same time. The group of people is there to add a touch of life to this frame that I wished I had captured with a slightly wider lens or moved away a few meters, but that's the rule of the game when shooting with prime lenses, and there was no more space for me to adjust the composition like I wanted. These colorful food stores immediately caught my eye. I always like the contrast between their vibrant and quirky design and all the more muted elements from the shrine. At first, I thought about photographing the stores on their own, but then these two people, probably running one of them, walked into the frame and made the shot a touch more interesting. For the composition, I used the two stone pillars on either side to frame the shot and draw attention to the stores. The tree in the background, still green and vibrant despite the season, adds a nice touch of nature to balance everything out. After walking around the food stores for a bit, I decided to head back to the main street, and that's when I spotted this nice photo opportunity. This one is all about composition. It's not a unique moment of life, but it feels very satisfying. The food stores on both sides of the frame create interesting looking leading lines, drawing attention to the main subject, this white K car. I have a fascination with these small Japanese vehicles, so I hope I'm not the only one. I also got lucky with the timing. No one was walking behind the car, which wasn't guaranteed with so many people around. It keeps the shot very clean and makes it flow very smoothly. This next photo has two issues. First, my focus point landed on the person closest to the camera on the right, which made my main subject slightly out of focus. Second, the timing. When I took this, I had no idea it would start dumping snow just 10 minutes later. A shot of the same guy dressed in shorts and a t-shirt walking through the snow would have told such a better story. Unfortunately, I didn't see him again after that, but I still wanted to share this one with you, along with the frustration or maybe just the unused potential of this subject. Right at the entrance of the main shrine, I noticed this guy reading something on the wall. The scene, the moment itself was interesting, but what really stood out to me was this small bubble of calm and solitude in an otherwise busy environment. No one was around and it almost felt unreal. I moved quickly to capture the shot, but it turned out I had more time to adjust my composition than I thought, so I used the pole on my right to block part of the frame and remove some visual noise. Overall, I am quite pleased with the result, both in terms of composition and the moment itself. When walking through such crowded areas, I like to move slowly, observing what's happening around me so I can react quickly. It also helps me blending in, not breaking genuine moments. That's how I noticed this priest inviting a group of men to receive a blessing at the main shrine. I like how multi-layered this scene is, with the men in the foreground on the left and the priest in the center, almost placed on the right third. It creates a nice sense of balance and flow in the composition. By this point, the snow had really started falling, and I found myself facing the temporary shrine set up during the ongoing renovations at Dazaifu. The dark facade made for a perfect backdrop, allowing the white snowflakes to stand out clearly. To emphasize the motion of the falling snow, I reduced my shutter speed, which added a dynamic feel to the scene. I ended up spending quite some time here, capturing a variety of photos with different moments and action unfolding in the frame. What caught my eye here were the two red torii gates positioned at different angles. I thought they made for a graphic composition, playing with lines, shapes and the contrast between complementary colors, red and green. I framed the torii in the background within the one in the foreground to improve the readability of this photo. To add a little something to the shot, I tilted the camera slightly, and I think the touch angle works well in this case. The flags also add little points of interest from edge to edge of the frame, helping to anchor the scene. As you can see in this next photo, the weather was constantly shifting that day. The sun broke through the clouds for a brief moment as I reached this shrine on a hill behind Dazaifu. The light beautifully illuminated the trees and greenery surrounding the shrine, creating again a vibrant contrast between the red of the shrine and the greens. It's almost always the case at touristy spots. If you're willing to walk a little bit further and climb a few stairs, you can often find yourself alone, just like I was when I took this photo. Recently I've been quite happy to use again my GoPro mounted on my chest. It lets me focus more on photography, but I definitely need to rethink my microphone setup. What I wanted to say here is how much I like this path winding through the forest in this curving way. It contrasts beautifully with the straight, upright trees all around it. Contrast can show up in so many forms: luminance, color, mood and even shape, like in this photo, and I have to say I really like the result here. I'm a bit lost, I must say, but that was the purpose of today, coming to Dazaifu and visit the main shrine, and then gravitate around that to smaller alleyways or in a forest, as you can see now, getting far from the tourists, and so far it's going pretty well. On this next photo, my placement was very important. If I made a mistake of staying more on the right side of the road, the white barrier would have looked a lot more condensed and would not have created this nice leading line we have in the final photo. Here again, I like the curving road, the surrounding greenery, but I wish I could have taken the shot with a different car coming towards me instead of moving away from me. It really was the day for curving roads and leading lines, which always makes me happy. In this particular scene, what really caught my attention was the roof of the shrine peeking through the trees. It gives a hint of what lies at the end of the path, hidden from full view. I always like when a photo has a sense of mystery, when it invites the viewer to use their imagination to complete the story. That's exactly what I wanted to capture here. I also decided to remove the electric pole in post, but I'm still not totally convinced by this decision. I did some research on Google Maps to see if there was more to explore around Dazaifu. Most of the time when I plan my photo walks, I pick 1 or 2 main spots to visit and leave plenty of room for spontaneous exploration. This run was about a 20-minute walk from Dazaifu and it was absolutely worth it. The strong wind blowing at the time added to the atmosphere, creating something quite special. I felt completely transported while visiting this place, so instead of explaining everything I captured there, I'd rather let the photos speak for themselves and try to make you feel the place the way I did. After what I felt was a pretty successful day of shooting around Dazaifu, I headed back to Fukuoka, planning to take the afternoon and evening easy, but to my surprise, another unexpected snowfall began and I found myself shooting more, this time with a more traditional street photography approach. One shot I tried involved these 2 characters painted on the wall, looking at each other. I thought it could work if someone stood in the bottom left corner, also looking up at them. I waited for quite a while, but the right moment never came. It was tricky to get someone tilting their head at the right angle and at just the right height to make the composition click the way I wanted. In contrast, I'm actually quite happy with how this next photo turned out. I noticed this patch on a reflective surface and I thought it could be fun to create a playful composition, having a subject walk into the frame with just their face covered by the patch. To make it work, I needed to increase the depth of field, so I bumped up my aperture to f9. I also switched the crop mode to really focus on that small section of the reflective surface. It took some patience in the snow with my half-working lens, but I think the result works well. So I was relying on autofocus the whole time shooting in the snow, knowing that it might occasionally lock onto snowflakes closer to the camera instead of my subject. This next photo is a perfect example of that. I won't say it was fully intentional because it was not, but I really like how it turned out. I think this version is more interesting than if the card was perfectly in focus. It captures the chaotic feeling of navigating through an unexpected snowfall in a big city. It's a bit messy, but in a way, that's what makes it work. For the other photos where the focus locked onto my subject, I used a few tricks in pose to accentuate the snow. I applied a linear mask from the top of the frame downward with a high feather, making the adjustment smooth and subtle. Then I bumped up the blacks and added some haze by pulling the dehaze slider into the negatives. I also subtracted the subject to maintain all the contrast. This brightened the upper part of the frame, giving the snow a softer, fluffier look and making it stand out more. As I'm recording this, our baby girl was born just a few days ago and we are so excited to enter in this new chapter in our lives. We will take the time to adapt to this new lifestyle and just wanted to share that with you. I've received so many nice comments and replies to a story I posted on Instagram the other day and thanks a lot for that, and I will not forget you. I will keep on creating and making new videos for this YouTube channel. It is just that the rhythm of publication will probably be a little bit all over the place in the next coming months. To come back on the topic of the video and the lens, I think it is more like the cold that was a problem, because since I came back here and my lens is just sitting here in the office in a more like warmer environment. If I turn my camera on with this lens, it looks okay. I mean, there's no grinding sound. It doesn't take so much time for the motor, like the focus motor, to align. So yeah, there might be something wrong about this lens, but it's not completely broken. So yeah, let's see. Maybe I'll see if I can repair it. I'll check how much it would cost. But in the meantime, I think I will use more my Sigma 35mm f2. I haven't used it too much because it is heavier than the other one, the 35mm f2.8. But maybe it's time to give it a go. And honestly, I prefer the texture, the sharpness, and like the overall look of the images I took with these Sigma lens. And actually, all Sigma lenses, they are a bit different from what we get with Sony, with Tamron lenses, I think. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching and your continued support. Thanks again for all the nice messages on Instagram, and looking forward to read your comments, and see you next time. Bye.